making sure that you have those wins, right? Those incremental wins is so important, right? So that you don't burn out.
That's right.
But hitting those incremental wins, it's just, yeah, I did that.
I'm Shannon Lucas.
And I'm Tracy Lovejoy. And we're the co-CEOs of Catalyst Constellations, which is dedicated to catalyzing innate change makers to accelerate positive change.
This is our podcast,
Move Fast, Break Shit, Burn Out,
where we highlight catalysts that are creating amazing change in the world. And I'm super excited today to have time with Dr. Dwante Earley. Dr. Dwante Earley is a well-respected thought leader in health equity, public health, and mental health. She currently serves as the president and CEO of the United Way California Capital Region, leading the organization into its 100th anniversary year of building stronger, healthier, and more compassionate communities. She also serves as a council member of West Sacramento. She's earned a master's in child development and a PhD in human development with a minor in quantitative psychology from UC Davis. Way to go. And as an active community member and passionate volunteer, she leads her daughter's Girl Scout troop and coaches basketball. Lovely to have you here with us today, Dwante.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'd love to start off by understanding how you relate to the concept of catalyst.
Oh my gosh. Well, when I think of being a catalyst, I do think of a change maker. And it's interesting, your intro for the podcast in regards to moving fast. It's this change maker who potentially is making good trouble, right? And seeing the potential for change, and then wanting to move forward and making what they're envisioning happen.
100%. Well, we'd love to hear, I mean, it's an exciting time for you. You're at the 100th anniversary of the United Way there. I mean, what are your plans? What are you catalyzing right now?
Well, so we're actually doing a lot in regards to helping children and families, going further upstream in regards to youth and, sorry, I should have turned my phone off, in regards to youth and helping them prepare for school. But the one thing that I think about, if we're going to talk about, right, one of our programs and innovation is our guaranteed income program. And so this is something we actually started in 2021. We had gotten a gift from McKinsey Scott of $10 million. And as we were thinking about what is something different that potentially maybe no one would invest in, right, without really seeing the potential. Prior to the McKinsey Scott gift, I think we had gone around, this was before my time, but we had asked private organizations, banks, foundations, was this something that you could invest in? And we should be clear what guaranteed income is.
I'm going to ask. Yeah, thanks.
Yes. What guaranteed income is exactly what it sounds like, right? Giving individuals a set amount of money every single month with no strings attached, right? And it's a foreign concept when you think about it, especially when you think about the programs that we have just in not only in California, but at the federal level that help people, right? It's usually tied to something. Either, it's tied to that you have to prove that you're working, prove that you potentially maybe have a disability, prove that you have a child, right? There's something that it's tied to. This is simply, you are living below the poverty line, and you need just a little bit of help, right? To be able to.
Universal basic income, are those two names for the same thing, or are those different?
They're very similar.
Okay.
Is what I would say. I think one of the things that marks the difference is just the qualifications potentially for it and where that line might be.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So in 2021, we get this gift and we're like, oh, something that we could do, right? Let's put our money where our mouth is. We really believe in this because, again, our overarching mission is to end poverty in the Sacramento region across our 5 counties. So that's Yolo, Sacramento, El Dorado, Placer, and Amador, representing about 2.4 million people, a lot of people.
Wow.
And so we said, okay, we're going to invest $1 million, a little more than $1 million, and providing 100 families in the Sacramento region with $300 a month for 2 years. Good, no strings attached. We're now a year in, And some of the things that we have seen are even just in this year, individuals in our program graduating from Sac State, right? So being able to get their college degree, individuals being able to start their own business, right? Yeah. Or even be able to get just a little bit of financial security. So having enough money just to save up for when things happen, like they happen to all of us, right? Your car breaks down, inflation happens, right? I mean, just think about what's happening right now and how much it costs just to fill up your car with gas. Yeah. Rent increases, right? The moratorium on evictions has been lifted. And so now what do? And so I think where the innovation happens is it's kind of a foreign concept, right? This idea of, wait a minute, you're going to give someone money and not require them to do anything, right? What's interesting is most of the individuals, something like 30% of the 100 families in our program have multiple jobs. Mm-hmm. These are people who, right? Because I think what we do is we have this stigma or these assumptions about people who are living below the poverty line. It is expensive to be poor. And it really is, right? And not only that, but who else or who better has an understanding of how to budget and use their own money than someone who has had to, right, within very limited areas, get by and survive. And so it's this idea of, what you need in order to better your life and your children's life and your family's life. And so we're going to give you the money that you need in order to help you take it to the next level, right? To give you the space to breathe, to give you the space to think, what if, right? What if I didn't have to work 2 jobs right now, 3 jobs right now, in order to just survive and feed myself and feed my children? What could I do? And that's what we are hoping to provide people is the what could you do if you just had a little bit more, right?
I love it.
So since then, City of Sacramento, last week, actually, so you're catching me at a really good time. Last week, City of Sacramento, that is, Sacramento is the capital of California, right? Voted to use some of their funds to invest a little bit more into City of Sacramento, folks. Yeah. So we are now starting our cohort 2 this fall. It'll be 80 families. They will receive $500 a month for the next year in order to, again, have the space to pay off bills, have the space to save up money, or even at this point, just be able to pay your electricity bill, right? And pay for gas. I mean, inflation is a real thing right now, and it's hurting so many people.
I'm super curious. I mean, if people heard me sort of do your intro, obviously you have a love of data. And so I just love to understand, like, you gave us some stats of what you're tracking. And I'm guessing there's also sort of the qual perspectives of the data of the people that you're working with in the program, I guess I would say.
Yeah. So one of the things I would love to say, we are the first to do this, but actually we are the first in the Sacramento region to have a guaranteed income and roll out a guaranteed income. But really, if I had to say, the closest city to us that did this was actually Stockton. Former Mayor Tubbs, who started the SEED program there, it was really, really controversial when he rolled it out. It was not with public dollars, it was with foundation dollars and private dollars. And some of the results from that particular program came out last year, right? Because as they were going, they were collecting data, but weren't necessarily getting it out or analyzing it for public consumption. But some of the things that we saw from that program was that I think something like 75% of the families were families of color. Women were able to get out of domestic violence situations, right? Which we know is a real situation when you are financially tied to this partner. Many people use the money for childcare, which we also know is extremely expensive.
If you can get it even,
There's that.
Yeah.
I have a 9-year-old, so I completely, and I think there's this misconception that if you give individuals who are living in poverty money with no strings attached, that they're going to use it on drugs or alcohol, right? Or something like that, right? That's the stigma, the assumptions, the stereotypes. Something like 98% of the families and individuals from that study used it on what I said, to pay bills, to get job training, to start small businesses. And then 2% said, oh yes, I bought some alcohol or cigarettes, right? And so for the most part, again, families are investing in themselves and they're investing in their families. And we all know, the research shows us that you give women money, right, who are heads of households, where does it go? It goes back into the family, because that's what we do. For us, we have collected a lot of demographic data on our families. And so again, we are tracking something like 70% of our families are BIPOC community. So Black, Indigenous, people of color. Most of our families, the majority of our families are also women. And then, like I said, 30% are working multiple jobs, with a majority working at least one. For us, the stories that we're hearing is it's enabling, me just to buy diapers, right? That's what we hear from our clients, or that they're able to actually, again, as I said, graduate from college or get the training that they need to save up the money. And then we're taking it a step further with this cohort too. As you said, I'm a data person. And so one of the first things, and I started here in November, but one of the first things that we did was we actually are contracting with a outside evaluator, because that's important, right?
Totally.
Outside evaluator from Sac State, Dr. Ethan Evans, actually. And he will be starting with our cohort 2 to evaluate, doing the pre-post, but also because, again, I would hate to not at least have some similar measurements for our cohort 1. He will do a retrospective on cohort 1. And then remember, cohort 1 is just starting its second year. So we will be able to at least not only get retrospective data, but moving forward from now, be able to
get the baseline and moving forward. Yeah. So it's super interesting from the one level up from a Catalyst perspective. I'm curious about the challenges. I mean, I can hear some of it. It's so controversial, right? And so many people. So I'm just wondering, like, how you deal with that challenge, and are there any other challenges that you've run into as you've been trying to do this?
I think that the controversial part is one of it, right? Because I think it goes against our every instinct that we have, particularly with our society, right? Which is a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of society, right? And that every dollar needs to be earned through hard work. And this is actually recognizing that society has put through policy choices, through the structure of our government and jobs and educational system, has put in barriers that simply pulling yourself up by the bootstraps by yourself is not going to allow for.
Right. It's not a level playing field, right? And all of the implicit and explicit bias is built into all of the systems.
All of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so this recognizes that it's not just on you as the individual to be able to pull yourself up. It is a system issue, and that the system needs to respond.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is also very innovative and new. And so as much as I recognize the fact that we are trying this new thing, I also recognize the importance of the evaluation piece. And I think that's the part that is challenging, is there's not necessarily, years and years and years of data. There is data on this and research on this, but that massive that you would normally have. But what I challenge people is what we have been doing to end poverty is not working. It's not working. We're in the worst we've ever been in regards to individuals who are unhoused, in regards to our educational system and graduation rates, particularly for communities of color, right? Some communities of color in particular, our system. And then when you look at unemployment, when you look at the wealth gap, when you look at the amount of money that it takes to actually, the job that you need and the salary that you need to be able to have just, again, a living wage, to be able to pay for, rent, housing, food, childcare, all the things that we know are important for ourselves. The gap is worse than it's ever been. And so when I hear the challenges to this, I also say, what we've been doing isn't working. We've got to do something else. And what we do at United Way is several things, right? We are in the trenches providing actual services, right? Going upstream in regards to education, because we do feel, and I believe, that education is the key to helping us pull our way out of poverty, right? Generationally. We also tackle policies. You and I talked about, we are testifying today at a hearing in regards to tax prep and being able to have that year round and have families have access to free tax preparation in order to get access to your child income, tax credit, and all the other things, right? That you're entitled to. And then you have, again, working with businesses, working with local government in order to change policies. And so there's this multi-tiered approach that you have to do, but we know that what we were doing before is not working. And so we have to be willing to innovate and change. And as you said, move quickly to do it, because not moving is not an option anymore. People are hurting.
Amen. And I'm just going to recap what I heard, because I love that you started small. The organization started small. It's like, let's do this group. We're not going to blow all the money. And then layering in the data piece, like this is a great takeaway for Catalyst, because we can forget this foundational piece, which is like, where are we? What are we seeing we're going, and where have we gotten? Because that brings a lot of the naysayers along. And I love too, the framing. This is where people say that we're not risk averse, or say that we aren't comfortable with risk, but we're like, actually, it's too risky to let the system continue the way it is. So we have to make a shift, right? And then this multi-pronged, multi-level systems approach, especially for these big intractable problems. But what I also hear you saying is like, you're carving out bite-sized pieces where you can have maximum impact. So
absolutely.
Amazing, amazing work that you're doing. Super intentional in terms of Catalyst leadership. All right, I'm going to shift us to, because I could grill you for hours about that, because I think there's more, there's probably a ton more learnings for the Catalyst, but I'm going to shift us to rapid fire. So what piece of advice do you have for up and coming Catalysts, or said another way, what do you wish you had known when you were 20?
Oh my gosh. Well, I did, the past few years, I've done strength finders a few times.
Nice.
And I love me some strength finders. And for the past couple of years, one of my top 5 has been command. And I would say in my 20s, it wasn't something I completely leaned into because I felt like, you have words like overbearing,
bossy,
right? Bossy. I have a daughter. Anytime someone says she's bossy, you get like, no, she's not bossy. She's a future leader. That's what she is.
Oh, I wish I had my cup here. It says, I'm not bossy, I'm the boss. That's my coffee cup every day.
And so I feel like I would be so much more comfortable, because I am super comfortable about who I am and where I am now.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten here earlier in life, because where would I be? And so being okay with being the person that sometimes just gets shit done, right? Like, okay, we're just going to do this. Follow me, get on my back. We're about to climb this mountain. So that's probably one of the things I would say. I was really, even though I was naturally wanting to take command, I would sometimes be like, well, what do you think? Right. I think that's important to get other people's thoughts. And then you got to just go. Someone's got to make the decision.
Don't let it hold you back, is what I hear.
Exactly.
So, yeah, of course you want to bring other people along, but we often get told, and this is when catalysts connect with the idea that they're catalysts, we've often been told we're too loud, we're too fast, we're too bossy, we're too this. And this is where the tears start to come from the healing, because it's like, that's your superpower. Lean into that. We need more people doing that to create positive change in the world.
Yes.
What would you tell other leaders about identifying and leveraging their catalysts, like yourself in their orgs?
So, things that I have had some really, really great people that I've had the opportunity to work with and work for. And I think one of the things that they did well, and one of the things that I try to do, because I have catalysts at my organization right now, is I give them the hard problems, right?
Yes.
The things that it's right.
And it's like Christmas for them. They're like, yes.
The things that, you will hear other people say, like, oh God, I just don't know if that's possible. Oh, I don't know. Right. You give that to the catalyst, right? Because they hear no, and they're just like, no, that's not a no. We just need to find another avenue. Right. They just think of it as a detour, not as a roadblock completely. And so that's what I would say, and you want those people, by the way. Don't be scared to have those people, because they're going to make you look good. Right? We all want to move things forward and truly get things done. Yeah. And that's what catalysts do.
That's right. I would just add on to that, which is just give us the guardrails. Because if you want incremental, we can probably do that. We may decide to leave. That's not enough for us at some point, or we can go big, but it's just like, give us the big problems, be clear about how far you want us to go, because we will go there.
Yeah, I love it. And yes.
What's the worst part about being a catalyst?
Oh, despite the fact that I'm very, very okay with the fact that I am a catalyst, I think that's right. I'm going to get the change done. I'm going to make the hard decisions. The moving your whole team along, an organization along, can be challenging, right? Because it's like you're here, and they may still be back there, right? Where you're just like, again, I talk strength finders, command, futuristic is also my top 5, analytical, right? And so I'm sitting there, I'm already working through all of the problems, finding different ways, and then I'm done, right? So I've already had the full conversation.
100%. And it feels like 100 times in your head, like we're still talking about this. What? Yeah.
Right. And so being able to slow down enough so that people can come with you, but not slowing down so much that it doesn't happen. Because that is the worst, right? For a catalyst, for a change maker, is knowing that you can make change, but having to sit there, right? And twiddle your while, right? Everyone catches up. And so finding that in between.
Super painful. And you mentioned earlier, it's also important for us to have the people who get that and can help translate for us. And so like, I found those people and I bring them along with me because I know that's a challenge for me. And I'm like, okay, you will help me bring them along. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. I have a couple of those and I at my organization, I love it because I'm just like, here's what I'm thinking, right? Could you just, well, I go over here and make it happen.
Right. That's right. That's right. Totally. But it is super painful. Okay. What's the best part about being a catalyst?
Oh, seeing your vision happen and then saying, okay, now there's more, right? And so, because you're never fully satisfied, right? And then the problems that you're tackling are so huge, right? And so making sure that you have those wins, right? Those incremental wins is so important, right? So that you don't burn out.
That's right.
But hitting those incremental wins, it's just like, yeah, I did that. Now, of course, you did that with the team.
That's right.
It wouldn't have happened without you. That's the catalyst.
That's it.
It would not have happened without you.
And I love that you brought up the wins because I have to remind myself, I had to create a win board because I forget all of the time. I built it into my team structure because if I didn't, I would forget because sometimes like one time we were doing the annual retrospective. We thought we finished all the sticky notes and then we're like, oh shit, that was just the second half of this year. We didn't even think about the things that we had to do to set the groundwork to get all that stuff done, which was massive, right?
Yes.
And it does lead to burnout. Oh shit, what's another thing I was going to say? Yes. And that is, it's connected with that, which is the thing that seems so daunting at the beginning as a catalyst, we actually can crush that pretty easily most times. Yeah. And so that's why you have to stop and bring the other people along. And then often we leave organizations and the train keeps moving and it wouldn't have started without us, but both they don't give us credit and we don't give ourselves credit. Yeah. So that's why the celebration and the win recognition is so important.
It's huge. It really is. And that is definitely something that I've learned as I've gotten older is celebrate the wins. You've got to celebrate the wins. And it's just something I remind myself, I remind my team as well. Because I just think that's important, especially when you are going for huge goals, right? You gotta congratulate yourself, show some appreciation and some kindness and grace to yourself so you can keep going.
That's right. The self-compassion piece is so huge. Do you have any calls of action? I mean, well, and I just had to take a moment because it's so loud to me. I just wanted to reflect back. You're like, what would I have done if I had leaned in more in my 20s? And I just want to reflect like, damn, because what you have done is so impressive. Like it's hard to imagine. So that narrative needs to go because you've done so much amazing stuff. But anyway, any calls to action for our listeners?
Well, if you happen to be in the region, even if you're not, our local United Way has several various initiatives that we're working on in regards to education, reading literacy, especially coming out of COVID. So important. Yeah. As well as our 100th anniversary. So I would say check out our website, which I'm sure you're going to put
in the show notes. Totally.
Yes. Yeah. We would love for you to come along with this journey with us. We have our Women's United Affinity Group. We have our Young Leaders group as well. And we are doing a lot of advocacy And so we need soldiers in the trenches with us.
Awesome. Thank you for all that you are doing. I can't wait to watch actually how you manifest to lay the foundation for the next.
It's going to be fun.
We're super lucky to have you. And just the work you're doing is so important. So thank you.
Well, hopefully we can check in this time next year.
I was going to say that would be a fun follow-up. Totally. I would love to do that. Yeah. Let's do that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Dwante. And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to learn more about how to accelerate positive change, go to our website at catalystconstellations.com. And of course, be sure to check out the book, Move Fast, Break Shit, Burn Out. If you have other catalysts in your life or you're catalyst curious, hit the share button and send the link their way. Thanks again for listening.